The stream is streaming, and if we are live, we are. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're gonna play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Ooh,
Yay!
Dungeons and Dragon.
I'm Christiana Ellis. I am the Dungeon Master. Our players tonight, Chooch Schubert as Autarky.
Who's muted?
And or just not saying anything. Oh,
Lies,
no.
I
There we
tell
go.
you. Hello, hello, I said.
Ah, well, now you say. We also have Starla Hutchton as Nirakina Ethu.
Greetings and salutations.
Jenny Meltzer as Cadence of the Water.
Howdy.
James Meltzer as Ket of the Sands.
Hello.
Mark Kilfoyle as Alaric Copperbeard.
So that's it. Time to face the end.
Is it? And Vivid Muse as Amethyst.
Hey, y'all.
And alas, we are short one Jadzia Axelrod as Mugen the Magnificent tonight. But let's talk about what happened last week. What do you say?
Woohoo!
A bell on a rock on a whirlwind, I guess.
Yeah.
We tagged
So,
Jinxie.
yes, you had come up with a plan with Mugen's help to obtain some magic soap from the bathhouse of the spirits. Magic soap which causes stones to glow in its proximity. And using that, you traveled to the plane of Gehenna, where Jinxie was regenerating her form after you killed her in the astral plane. And you applied soap and then verified that now, if Jinxie finishes regenerating and comes anywhere near you, the stones that you each now carry will glow in her presence. And then you traveled back to the material plane where you have restored the world tree, Emerald Arboris. And you started talking about what's next. Crossed off several things on your to-do list, but a couple of big ones left. So, Heroes of Legend, what would you like to do?
And Nira said she had an idea.
Is that board still there?
Yeah, if you go over to where it is, yeah.
Okay, so what I'm picturing with this thing, it's one of those chalkboards that's on a hinge that you can like flip over to the
Sure.
backside.
What other kind is
So-
there?
I don't know. So I am going to take the board with the list and flip it over to the other side. And at the top, I am going to write, "Save the mountain, save the world." And I make a list. 1, 2, 3,
Timely
4.
reference there.
Right? And in this list, I write information, inspiration, interconnection, and then improvisation ? So this is sort of a plan. It's an idea of maybe what our plan should be. I have something that can help us. It could maybe save everyone. Maybe I don't know for sure.
I like it already.
Mugen, I
Short.
think, says, I absolutely want to know all about this plan, but I got to take care of something. I'll be right back. Poof.
All right. So really what I've got here, I guess the best way I can describe it is I have a hope. Have I ever told you guys the story about how I became a cleric?
You didn't want it and ran away.
You were chosen,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, there's a bit more to it.
Yeah.
So, you've met my grandmother, and you've met my mother. You probably heard her mention, my father. But I also have 11 older siblings. A lot. And 7 of them are sisters. Which means that there has always been 7 other women ready to step into the places that my mother and grandmother, will eventually leave behind as, head of the family and their seats on the High Council. So for me, I I never saw a point in the absolutely ridiculous squabbles that they would have, about who my mother would choose to kind of groom as her successor. It was never going to be me. So, not that I ever wanted to be. It's a giant political mess. Not something I really wanted. But it was always just a lot less effort to ignore it and avoid all this insistence on tradition, rather than to actively rail against it. So, I mean, generally my, rebellions were limited to eye rolling and, learning things my mother insisted were a waste of time. I think my grandmother will get a kick out of it when she hears the Sylvan that she taught me came in handy. Anyway, being the youngest of 12, not a whole lot was ever expected of me. Not that I really ever gave anybody much reason to expect more. Unless it came to sarcasm, got that one nailed. Excelled at that one. But there were still certain things I was supposed to do, supposed to think, supposed to believe, and I saw what happened to those who didn't. All it took was a single word of dissent, a question asked about the wrong thing at the wrong time, and somebody who had lived their entire life in Farujah would become like a ghost in the city, kind of lingering around the edges until one day they were just gone. I mean, there's leeway given to children because, with time and pressure, those undesirable elements are usually worn away, and kind of how, water wears away the sharp edges of a stone. So I love my people, but that love is not blind. But I kept my head down, and I always did the bare minimum to kind of avoid the discomfort that forced out people that, were different or who questioned or who doubted. I got by being mostly discounted, and I was kind of okay with that. My mother, however, was not. And honestly, she was the only one who thought about me at all on the day of the procession to the temple. She, of course, was buried in all the coordinating of all these really inane details for the choosing ceremony. But somehow she managed to keep one eye on me at all times. her lectures were endless, but they always kind of had the same punchline. Don't you dare disappoint our family this time, Nirikina. You're an adult now, and you will act accordingly. For 3 days leading up to the choosing, that's all I heard. I was an embarrassment, a disappointment, unworthy. So why should I even bother going? It was a joke to literally everyone to think I'd be chosen as a cleric of Rushama. So while it's true that I didn't want it, I also didn't want to purposely put myself in a place to be ridiculed. So I made a choice. I decided that whatever fate was in store for me, it would be the fate I chose for myself. I was already irresponsible and immature in everyone's eyes, so why not spend my time enjoying life instead of subjecting myself to more derision? So when everybody was lining up to, walk through the streets with all the purple flower petals everywhere, my mother personally was escorting me to the start of the procession. And then this messenger runs up to her with this last-minute crisis. Something about incense or something. I don't know. It didn't really matter because in that brief moment she was distracted. I took that opportunity to duck down an alley and I ran as fast as I could. I didn't even really think about where I was going. I just went. And eventually I found myself outside the city, kind of wandering around in the forest, and I came across the most amazing tree. It's like it had this branch that was just, it looked made for sitting in and reading a book. The curve of it, everything, it was just, it felt perfect. So, I that's what I did. I climbed a tree, sat there, and I was reading. And for maybe as much as an hour, I was completely free of all obligations and requirements. I made a choice, and everything about that moment felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be, and that I was solely there due to my own actions. It was my decisions that made that feeling possible. And for that single hour, I was the happiest I'd ever been. But getting struck by lightning and falling 15 feet to the ground definitely puts an end to that. And the next thing I remembered, I was back at home. And as I opened my eyes, there's just this cluster of cleric faces just searching every detail about me and asking me all these questions about magic and spirits. And there's all of this noise. And over top everything else, there's something in my head whispering this constant stream of just indecipherable words. There were a lot of really, really unhappy high elves that day. Some of them were outright angry, and for good reason. Instead of choosing someone who had been unshakably faithful and dedicated to the spirit their whole lives, there I was, a person who had actively avoided the ceremony, and I was the only new cleric chosen in, 30 years maybe. So what could Rushama possibly see in someone barely into their first century who had never been more than an irritation to every teacher and every authority figure who'd ever had to deal with her? So I don't blame them for assuming I was dead or had just wandered off when I vanished for 100 years. I mean, why wouldn't they? I never gave them another reason to believe in me. But that's who I was when I left the city for the first time. Even that day, one of the last things I saw was this look on my mother's face. I mean, I don't know for sure what was going on in her head, but she looked so nervous. And not just for my safety. It was like she was nervous that I would somehow find a way to screw this up too. And cause more than the usual amount of embarrassment. No one's really ever had faith in me. So I had to do that for myself. And so far, I've done mostly okay, I think. But that's kind of the problem I have, that I've always had. All I have is me. And when the magic you wield is fueled by faith, one person alone can only go so far. So, what I'm about to say is going to be a lot. Not that it hasn't already been. I know it's been a lot, but I know I haven't given you a lot of reasons to trust me, and maybe quite a few reasons not to. But now with everything at stake, I need to ask the impossible from you. When I told my mother that you're the only family I've had in these past months, I mean years really, nothing about that was a lie. Even now with my memories recovered, I can tell you for a fact that I've never been through so much, felt so much, shared so much with anyone else. Not ever. And without all of you, I never would have made it this far. It's been dangerous and frustrating and hopeless and seemingly impossible at times, but that's kind of your specialty, isn't it? Doing what should be impossible and coming out on the other side with a smile on your face and a joke to share. It has been my honor to be part of this journey because I've gotten to experience it, to overcome it with all of you. I'm not the person I was back then, and that's because you've all made me better. And the one hope I have is that maybe I'm just better enough to earn the one thing I need that might save us all. I don't know if I have any right to ask this of you, but I can't do this alone. And so, I, Nirakina Ethu, cleric of Rushama, ask the heroes of legend for one more impossible thing. For the sake of my mountain, my people, and the fate of the material plane, will you put your faith in me?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Ket.
Ket, who?
Ket, who's going to put his faith in you.
For a moment there, I thought his sense of humor had returned. At least that hasn't changed. Near Keeneth, you are not alone. You haven't been alone for a while. Maybe we don't all express that the way we should. So first of all, know that. And know I think that we're all going to stand by you because it's the right thing to do. But moreover, you were chosen. And while it didn't seem like the right idea to you, and it didn't seem like the right idea to them, I think both they and hopefully you realized that it was. That it had to be you. They were driving themselves away. They didn't have faith anymore. They had tradition. They didn't have the touch of the godly. They lost that. And the fact that when you didn't return, they didn't rally means they were lost. But you've come back. And they've been found. They may just not know it yet. Besides, I believe in you. I believe in, weird enough to say, both of you, if that makes any sense. I knew that from the first time I met you. I knew there was something different. And then I got to see you perform miracles. And I got to know the mountain that lives in you. And I don't just mean that shard of Urshama. I mean the actual mountain that lives in you. You are that stone. You are that strength. You are that even history. And, well, not to play too big a role of my own, but I think it's clear, as your mother and grandmother discovered, things are changing. Their Urshama is not just for them anymore. It's bigger than that. I don't want to speak to everybody else. But wherever the hell you go, I'd like to be there. And whatever the hell you need to do, I want to help.
Before anybody else says anything, I have a favor to ask of you, Nira. Because I don't want to go out looking like this. We're going to ride where we ride one last time together. Whole. And I want to be Ket again. The old Ket. Would you do the honors of helping me help you?
I would absolutely help you. In any way you require.
Well, good. Because I require a 9th level Dispel magic spell if you have it.
Well, I require a long rest before I can give you that.
Okay.
But I would be delighted to help you after a nap.
Speaking for myself, you certainly have my faith as as a person and as a companion. We've been through a lot. And, I'm not the biggest for strategy unless it comes down to the, pummeling part. But, everything's been sound. I guess I don't quite know what you're asking. I mean, I can't imagine growing up like that. Most of the people around me thought, I got nothing but encouragement. So, absolutely, you have my backing, and I trust you. If you have a plan, I'm behind you.
Yeah, you don't even have to ask, really. I mean, I believe in you. I've told you that before. Whatever you need, I'll help.
Well, I guess I'll be the suspicious person yet again, but I'm not a religious person. I'm not. I get it, it's your thing. That's not my thing. Maybe it was, I don't remember, but it's not my thing now. But I've seen a lot of things, and they all point me to how important people's faith are to them. I don't know what you're asking now, but I hope that it's not something that takes something from others just to serve a need that we have, that we might be able to fill another way. But I don't really know because you haven't really told us anything. You have my faith as a friend. Without a doubt, I will stand behind you for anything, but I cannot just agree to something that I don't know what it's going to be because you have a mountain inside you. And I have seen some of these spirits and gods and followers do horrible things in the names of their beliefs. I don't see that in you, but I have seen Jinxie impersonate you. And so I can't act on blind faith. I'm sorry. Maybe that's why I don't dig religion. I don't have that. But I'm going to need more detail on what the plan is and what the impact is, and make sure that there's no harm to anybody. Because if there is, maybe we look for another way. So let's hear what, and you have my full empathy on your story. You know that. But what is it that you want to do? Because I can't blindly agree until I know. But you have my ears and I'm listening.
I would never ask you, any of you, to do something that I thought would go against who you are. I want to make that very clear. What I am hoping to do, Rushama has the ability to grant requests of mine. But as I said, my magic is fueled by faith. And right now, the pool of faith for Rushama to draw on is very small. Just a bare handful, if I'm being generous. I think probably half of the followers are standing right here.
Is
But
that
it's
like all of them or just those that are unfrozen? I don't pretend to understand the scale.
That's the thing. Rushama is not what it was.
Right.
The spirit has changed in its time traveling with me. And what it becomes in the future is going to be very heavily determined by me. which is scary, crazy scary. And it makes me even more grateful that I've had such good examples in all of you to sort of guide those choices when they need to be made. So right now I can ask Rushama for small things and smaller things, and it would happen. Just by magic. The spirit could make it happen. But in order to do bigger things, there needs to be more faith to fuel those spells. So say if we wanted to protect the mountain and make it so nothing or a certain entity could not cross over, or cross over for a split second long enough for, say, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. But to do something big like that, especially when you're talking about a powerful entity like the Demon Lord, that requires a lot of faith. It requires a lot of people believing in not even just Rushama, but in my ability to do that. Because right now, Rushama is a part of me. I think it might be possible to separate us, but for the moment, it's all one package. So, I am not asking for conversions to the faith. I'm just asking if you would have, if you would give that faith to me, even momentarily, belief that I can make great things happen, that I could move a mountain if I wanted to.
I guess I'm not sure what you're asking exactly for. Do you want me to pray to you?
No, I think, and I could be wrong. I think what she wants us to do is help her restore the faith of the people who already have faith in Rushama, but because of all the things that happened, they've started to lose faith. Like, I don't know if you remember because you're a panda, but when we were talking to Nira's grandmother,
I really love being a panda.
I know, it's amazing. I love it too when you're a panda. But like Nira's grandmother was talking about how everyone had lost their faith because Nira was gone, and basically she took Rushama with her, and they thought that Rushama was gone. So if all of those people who lost their faith can see that Rushama is still there, then maybe their faith would be restored.
Yeah, I would help with that.
I love the idea of restoring people's faith, as long as there's going to be something that honors that, like people follow a spirit or a god because of expected benevolence or good fortune or things like that. And is there going to be a Rushama? Is there going to be anything for them to believe in once we get them to believe in it again? I mean, I understand your conflict. I'm not sure what you're going to want to do at the end of the day between separating yourself from Rushama. But my favorite, hands down favorite thing about Rushama is that you're a part of him. I trust Rushama more than any other spirit or god we've encountered because of your influence. So, I just think we should give some thought to what that's going to mean to the new followers. Like, what is that going to mean for their life? Is it going to actually be better, or are we just using their faith for our own benefit?
it won't be the same as it was, but I think that's a good thing.
Mm,
It can't be the same as it was. That's why everything fell apart, was because it always stayed the same. There was never anything changing. One of the things that we need to do, and I will point to the list, number 1, information. I don't know. I've only gotten the barest of details about what happened, and the only details that I've had this broad overview, but then just a smattering of details from my grandmother about the high elf side of it.
mm,
I need to hear the other side of the story.
yes.
I need to know what they believe, and because they had different ideas of worshiping, and it
Yeah.
caused tensions. I don't know what those. I mean, maybe they were truly abhorrent. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of, we need to find out, because if I don't know, I can't enact change,
Yeah.
because I want this to be. It's not something just for the High Elves. It's not. Knowledge is meant to be shared.
Agreed.
We've seen what happens to a creature that just hoards knowledge. What good is it? It does no good for the world whatsoever.
Absolutely.
Urshama has been a collector of knowledge for millennia. But what good did that do?
Yeah.
So we need information.
I'm down to go get some information. So what does that entail? Where do we go?
Well, I think we need to go back to the mountain.
Oh, cool. I love it there. Well, I love what it can be.
I think a good place to start is the Drow city that we left. I think we can at least do some good, and we can attempt to patch things up, apologize, assure them that it's going to be taken care of, because it will be. Make no mistake. Everyone there is afraid and hopeless and lacking knowledge. And we can help them. We can give them something to believe in again. We can help alleviate those fears. We can direct their energies to where it will be helpful.
Yeah. That all sounds like really positive stuff for them. So until I see something that makes me worry, I feel better hearing that you actually want to, do that, invest that time into it, and hopefully make it something that respects them as well. We'll just see where it leads, I guess.
All I'm asking for is a chance.
You have it.
So, information, first of all. So we need to talk to people. I'm thinking, I don't know anything about the Drow. They may have some sort of leader. But as far as like the spiritual side of it goes, if they had some kind of high cleric, something along that lines, that could be helpful.
Your grandmother or mother may know, right? Possibly.
Possibly, but I would rather hear it from them than through a secondary source that might have their own feelings about it.
Sure.
But so that's important. We're going to need information also about the ritual itself and what's going on down there. There are a few factors to consider with that. We haven't really seen the state of everything. And I think if we wanted the most information about that whole situation and maybe what we can do, I think it would be a good idea to speak with Zora's mother. She's the one that facilitated this whole thing. And I was led to believe that she was doing it for a specific purpose. And if she has a way out, that could change things. But I don't know her. I've never met her. I've never spoken with her. I don't know her character in any way. And I don't think we can know until we speak to her, so. That's another tick mark for the information box. So once we have all that information, then that's the moment that we know how to inspire these people, how to give them faith, give them hope. We can show them a better way, show them that we can make promises and then fulfill those promises. We can inspire them to fight for themselves, for this entire plane, really.
So, what do you need from us at this point? Travel wise? How do you want to get there?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? Because plane shift is an option, but we would have to leave and come back to this plane. Can you travel, Cadence, on the tree, like within the same plane, or do we have to like go and come back like we do with plane shift?
I don't know, DM. Can I travel within the same plane of the tree?
Like you can, but it's not a simple journey. Like it's not really any faster than going to some other plane, right? You still kind of have to make the trek, so to speak. But it can be done. But it might not be as fast as other ways.
See, this is why I wanted to go in all those rooms when we were in the Drow City to see if they had a teleportation circle, because, like, I can do that if I know where there's a circle.
Right?
Oh,
But
wow.
I found, like, one in all this time.
You did say there was one near Mount Rushama, but yeah.
But not close enough.
Well, I was in one of those rooms and I didn't see a teleportation circle.
Did we really not attune anything?
I think we did. Didn't we attune something while we were there?
It's
I
on the
mean,
material plane.
Do what?
Where the dark elves are is on the material plane. It's just underground underneath the mountain.
I just thought we could like still quick travel with it.
Well, if you can get me to a dwarven stronghold, I should be able to do that.
Does anybody know where one of those is around here?
We
Are
probably
there
have
any
to return to the prime
ruins
material
or
plane
some kind of
first.
thing? Cadence, maybe? I don't know. Are there have dwarves ever been in the desert? I don't have a
I mean, we
wide-
had all kinds of people here. We had like every race you could possibly imagine. It's not just Tabaxi. I mean, it's a lot of Tabaxi, but I mean, I don't think we had any strongholds, but
We know where we are, and we could fly as wind to wherever we needed to be.
Yeah.
That seems like a really long flight, though.
Well, no, wait.
It's
And
better
I
than
think
walking.
Amethyst can do this too.
Hmm.
Like, if we know where there's a tree, like right outside the mountain where we want to go, we could tree travel. I mean, I can do that, and I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure Amethyst
Tree
can do that
stride.
too.
Yeah.
Wasn't there that root system where the mushrooms were growing?
I tend to touch trees everywhere we go. That is like her standard thing. So she would have
You were
touched
not
a tree.
in that room because
No, not a
walked-
room. There won't be a tree in the room. So I can't use a tree.
Where we
to
met
climb.
your boyfriend?
Yeah.
It's not my boyfriend.
Well,
okay,
whoever.
maybe
Technically,
that
you
could have been your
met
boyfriend.
Estella in the guano farm. There was also a mushroom farm, but that was a different floor. But
Okay,
yes, you
yeah.
went and explored all of that while Amethyst stayed behind.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah,
Yeah.
Amethyst was actually there because I brought her mushrooms.
Yeah. So was there a root system in the mushroom farm?
I mean, there was, but Amethyst didn't see it.
But I did. I can do
Oh.
that too.
Yeah, I think that would work.
So I mean, we could just walk into a tree and then come out in that location.
You can do that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's been here. Yeah, it's just usually we aren't going somewhere where I've
Yeah.
you know been seen and touched a tree.
Definitely not something I've ever seen before, so I'm all for trying new things.
You guys always talk me out of using it every single time I've tried. We had this whole intense back and forth at one point trying.
Yeah.
I was desperately trying to use it. Y'all nixed me
Great.
every time. Yeah. I'm down for it. Yeah. Let me make sure I can do it because I wasn't where she was, but it's the one where we can walk through, right? Right, Jen? So if you do it, we can all use it.
I have tree stride,
I think
so
tree
that's
stride
different.
is
The other
actually
one is
something-
transport via plants.
That's
Yeah.
the one that you're actually thinking of, I think.
Yeah, I thought I
That's-
had that one, but I have tree stride.
Okay, yeah, I've got transport via plants. I've got, I know I've got tree stride. Let me read it though.
Tree stride is like a
Um,
combat one where, like, if you're in a forest, you can step into one tree and out of another, but it's not. the
Yeah,
long
500
distance one.
feet.
Yeah, the long distance one you're
Mhm.
thinking of is transport
Via
via
plants.
plants.
As long as you, but see, that's the thing. Like you haven't seen it, so we can't do it.
Well, so here's the thing. Like, you all would have plane shifted to know enough to know that plane shift doesn't work to another location on your current plane, but you can just use two
I wanna-
castings of it to go quickly
Yeah.
to one place you've been and then back to.
Yeah,
Or we could like
I
save a
have used
spell
all of
slot and
mine.
climb the tree to somewhere
yeah.
to,
I love
to
how we're
avoid using a spell slot.
all
What,
of this to avoid walking. I love it.
Yeah.
what about
so
the,
lazy.
the cave? The cave was at the base of the mountain, right?
Yeah, it was a cave system that went down
Well, so
the mountain.
I mean, you entered the network of caves from it wasn't, it's not like the summit, but where Farusha is, which was not at the bottom, but then it went down and down and down and down. You just traveled quickly through it.
I say we just, bloop to one place, bloop, and then bloop to the
Yeah.
other. I think that's the fastest. And
Whole
time
lot of
stopped. We
blooping
can
going
rest how
on.
often we want. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm sorry, I was just making a dumb joke. I said a whole lot of blooping going on.
Yeah. Like we could use the tree so we don't have to use another spell slot. Go somewhere else and then teleport.
Yeah, I have no level
From
7s
there.
left, so
Well, we'll take a nap before we go. It's been a while. I mean, we did, soap Jinxie and all that stuff.
Where are we right now, by the way? I've
You-
forgotten. I'm
you-
At
sorry.
the tree.
Yeah, you
We're at the
returned
tree, okay.
all back at you're at the city
Cool.
in Emirate Arboris.
Well, we're certainly safe here. We can take a rest here. Or I can cast. Wait, do I have plane shift armed? I was ready for fighting, y'all. I don't know if I have plane shift. Yeah, I do. Of course I do.
Well, we need
Um,
to take a rest anyway.
Right, I can plane shift us, but I don't think we're going to be any safer than we are here.
Yeah, we'll be
I'll
fine
just-
here.
I'll just have to restore that spell slot, or star lot. Well, I guess we could do it in one day because if we both have it slotted.
Mhm.
Cool.
As long as we don't have to fight anybody, we should be okay.
Mm.
everybody's frozen. Who are we going to fight?
You never know. I mean, you wake up
telling
these
you.
drow and
We
they get
should not
food.
say things like that because
Exactly.
then I don't know if fake queens pop up out of nowhere and want to start some shit. I don't know.
Want to fight? Yeah, she doesn't want to fight us right now. Maybe later, I bet. So, are we taking a nap?
A nap
Yes.
before blooping.
A bloop nap? I need to rest before I climb a tree. This always takes a lot out of me.
I'm just kind of sitting there with my 10-foot tall self. Yeah, I kind of need the rest.
Ooh, Starla, what do you need to rest before you can restore Ket, right?
Yeah, that is
Okay.
true.
Cool.
I mean, we might have to rest for 2 days if you don't want to burn your 9th level slot.
Good thing
Well,
it's not real time.
I think a long rest now, and then I don't foresee a need to. I don't know. I keep having to use this gate spell. It really takes it out of me, guys. So I don't foresee having to do any of that with the next steps. Like just our information gathering. We have a lot to do before we, step up and meet this fight.
And you all can do a lot more before you run out of power, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. I can
So-
shoot a lot of arrows and stuff. I don't have a lot of power. I'm just really weak like that.
You can climb that
Uh,
tree.
Cadence, when you say that, I think Seeker snickers. Just for you.
Kind of weak. I didn't mean you. You're not weak. You're amazing. So are we napping?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
So, I think we've certainly asked this before, but we can ask it again. If you're all going to try to get a night's sleep, now that Emirate Arboris is here in the material plane, but still time stopped, where do you go? Do you all kind of pile in together in a big room, or you go off and find
Come on,
beds
guys.
somewhere?
We're going to my mom's house.
Slumber party.
She won't even know.
That works
we're,
for me.
Like, sleeping in the living room. She won't care.
Yeah. My mom's time stopped in the front yard.
Yeah.
She's fine.
She'll never know. Just make sure
I'm-
you put everything back because she will know that. Like, that.
I'm so flattered at your invitation. How can I turn it down?
Slumber
I mean,
party at my mom's.
Is it big enough for all of us?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my parents wanted to have, like, a really big family, but all they got was me.
Lucky
But this-
them. They didn't get distracted by a bunch of brats. They just had you.
They still built a big house?
It's not all it's cracked up to be, let me tell
No.
you.
I'm
the
not
house?
complaining. Like, I like being an only child. I got to be the center of attention all the time.
Yeah, it's not always great.
Yeah, that's true. It's not always great, but, you know.
Dang.
sometimes
Y'all are
it's
making me
amazing.
glad I don't remember my childhood right now.
I'm pretty sure
Grass
you
is
were an
always
acorn.
greener, right?
It
It
certainly
is.
seems to be.
Possibly a leaf, maybe, or an acorn, or
That'd be
pine cone,
so
maybe.
cool. I
Like,
can't even. Please. Yes.
All right. So, Amethyst, if you want to turn into a panda bear while we're there and take a nap as a panda bear, you totally can. But I can't be a cave bear because I will make a big mess.
Well, I mean, those are kind of big. Maybe I'll pick something smaller, and she's going to turn into a koala bear and just kind of romp around like she's a big, scary panda bear, but she's a tiny little koala.
I just pick her up and carry her.
Yeah, well,
And
as a koala, you just got that cling action, right? You just
Yep.
sort of
Yeah.
cling yourself to the side of somebody.
Yes, and I feel so safe.
So we go to my house.
All right, cool. So, does anyone have hot goss that they want to share at the slumber party, or is it mostly just everyone's getting their night's sleep?
No, Kat, you're not going in the closet for that weird game that we used to play when we were kids. Don't even try it. You're too big. You won't even fit in the closet.
Are
What?
you sure you won't fit? Why don't you try?
No. It's a
No, man.
small
I
closet.
bet I could
good.
fit him in there.
I bet you could.
I'm good. It's okay. I I'm just gonna go curl up in the corners because I'm so big. I take up 2 corners.
Maybe you want to take a last minute fly if you're going to lose the wings.
No, I'm good. I'll just cast fly on myself if I really want to fly.
There you go.
It's better than a cloud.
So once Mira's done her 4 hours of meditation and prepared her spell, I want to make sure that I'm up before Ket so that I can dispel magic on him before he wakes up.
Okay. So technically, in order you do need the full 8 hours in order to recover
Right.
the spell slot, but
I'll just
I
go to bed
think
before
it
him
seems
and wake up early.
it seems plausible to me that that could be arranged. Well, okay, actually, let me take that back just for a moment because we've got to respect the fiction here. Ket, as a planetar, do you even sleep?
I'm just looking at my stat. I mean, yeah.
I was just sort of thinking that, like, I'm not necessarily sure I would expect that planetars need to sleep, but that certainly maybe doesn't stop you from sleeping if you want.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he sleeps.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
he
Just
sleeps.
checking. Just checking.
Yeah.
Oh, something I was wondering about as a planetar, like, I know there was something like you can like detect lies or something. What am I thinking? Am I remembering that correctly? Like if somebody speaks falsely, right? So he would have known if Nero was not being on the up and up, which I
that's-
totally was, but I was.
Yeah.
I didn't even think to
With
do a
that
check on
knowledge.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would
they
know.
Yeah, I was
have,
going into it with that knowledge.
the
so.
planetar knows if it hears a lie. Is a
Yep.
is a trait of the planetar.
Would Kat have
No
told
lies
us?
detected.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have told you all. Like, I would have gossiped about it before bed.
Probably called Nero out on the spot would be more. Well, that sounds like more an amethyst thing, but you know.
Right?
You'll
That's what I was just
never
wondering. I
believe what I
wonder.
heard from
I wouldn't have. I would have like drawn you aside and been like, "Hey," in secret.
Well, that I
wouldn't have told
knew.
anybody else.
I just didn't know what Kat would do.
You know, I mentioned it
They are
last
always
week.
sneaking off whispering.
I mentioned it last week that I had just recently rewatched Mean Girls, but now I'm suddenly remembering the three-way calling traps that they would do, where they would call someone and say, "Oh, don't you think it's just awful that Stephanie just totally dissed you at the party like that?" And then
Oh my
they
gosh.
get you to say that about Stephanie, and then reveal that Stephanie is actually on the three-way call. It's like, see, Stephanie, she totally admitted it.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Anyway, but since there were no lies,
There were no lies.
Oh, you said that just like Solomonia. Now I'm scared that she's going to show up. It was the tone. Since there were no lies.
Technically, everything was true.
Mhm.
No, I spoke the way I said exactly what I said, knowing that in his current form, Ket would know if I was not telling the truth. So I didn't even try.
Cool.
So, I think it's plausible that you would be able to get your rest and then wake up before Ket does.
When Nero wakes up, I'm actually still awake and I'm just kind of standing at the door, like staring at my mom. Like I don't sleep.
Oh.
You want to make a Constitution saving throw for me?
Mm-hmm. Constitution. That is an 11.
11. I think 11's okay. You're good. You're tired, but not mechanically exhausted.
Would hitting Ket with Dispel Magic wake him up?
Oh. Not necessarily. I think it kind of depends a lot on how sound a sleeper he is. I mean, he's physically going to change not just physical form, but his creature type
I would like American Werewolf in London transform back into Kiddo.
And then after that elaborate sequence, just curl back up and.
Yeah, exactly.
Because depending
Roll
on
back
that,
over.
I would wait because I would want to talk to Cadence because I would see her standing there, and that's not a thing you ignore. So.
Sure.
Did you give any thought to what I said?
Yeah. Ket doesn't think I should.
Well, what does Cadence think?
I don't know. Like, I was away for so long, and now I'm like, what if I die? I keep thinking that. And, like, he made a really good point that if I come here and I'm like, hey, I just came to visit you for 1 minute and now I'm off to die, and then I die, she's going to be even more mad.
Speaking as someone whose mother actually thought she was dead, I don't know your mother, so it's hard for me to speak to that, but I think she has to have missed you, Cadence. And even if she yelled or appeared to be angry with you, she's your mother. And I don't think your relationship might have been strained, but I don't get the impression that there was no love at all between the two of you.
Oh, no. I mean, she loved me very much. Things were just different after my father died. Like, we were never the same. And the things I wanted for so long, I didn't stop wanting them because I knew he wanted them too, but she didn't want me to go.
Well, you're kind of all she has. So I can understand that. But I think... And you don't have to explain it all to her. But I think knowing that you are still alive, because we don't know how long it's been for her since she last saw you, because Amber and Frozen and all of that. So, I mean, maybe it was only a few days, but maybe it was years. And if it was me, I would at least know. Even if it's to know that you were only alive for a brief time and then went off to do this other thing, and that was what got you. Even getting to see you again for those few minutes, I think would mean a lot. But that's just me. I'm not going to make that decision for you.
Oh, no.
I thought about it. I considered it, but trying to be better as a person, growing, trying anyway. So I didn't.
I appreciate that.
It was super tempting, though.
Well, I mean, look at the way she's standing. You just want to walk up to her and be like, why are you standing like that? I want to do it, like, constantly. I mean, she looks like she's getting ready to, like, yell at those kids, and no, they didn't even do anything.
She doesn't have anybody else to yell at.
True. Yes, I probably should.
And even if not for her, what if it's the last chance you get?
True. I don't want to die with regret.
Exactly. I know Ket has his thoughts and his opinions on it, but you should think about what you want as well. Because it's your mother, it's your life. You should make that decision for yourself. And now I'm going to step away and I'm going to go mess with Cat.
I will walk outside
Yeah?
and walk up to my mother.
Oh, okay. So, are you doing anything, or are you just standing there still?
I'll stand there for a few minutes, like thinking about everything that Nira said and everything that Ket said. And I'm going to keep coming back to that thought that, you know, if I do die, I don't want to die with that regret. So I will reach out and touch her.
So, as you have seen several times before, there's sort of a gradual softening, and as she begins moving again, you do see she's raising her finger to point, but then she looks a little confused at the fact that, like, the kids that had presumably been like running through the yard are now frozen. But then she turns to see you, and at first her eyes just go wide, you know, jaw drops in kind of an unreasonable, like unreadable, shocked expression. But then she just throws her arms around you and just pulls you in tight for a hug.
I hug her back.
You feel that there's like a tension in her shoulders, as she's holding you really tight, and her breath is shuddering a little bit, but her face is kind of pressed to your shoulder, and she just says, "Oh, Cadence."
Sorry. I tried to come back sooner, but
she lets go a little bit, enough to pull back and look into your eyes, but still holding your hands in hers, and just says, you were gone so long, and your friends came back, and they said that you and Ket had been lost. What's happening here? And she's looking around and seeing everything stopped, and she's like, am I dead?
no. There's some crazy stuff going on. Like Ket and I were found by these people, and we started to travel with them, and we came back here, and everything was encased in amber. And there's so much going on, like, it's just way too much. But right now, time is stopped. That's why those kids are still stepping on your magnolias over there.
She kind of just has her hands on her face and is just saying, there's just so much happening. I don't understand. We so, okay. I don't know how long we were in the amber. Do you? You were gone, and then there was a strange tremor in the sky. The tree was changing, and I felt as though it seemed as though the world was ending. And the next thing I knew, we were all finding the amber just flaking off of us, but the world was different. The sky was wrong, just full of silvery mist, and we thought we were dead then.
Yeah.
And we were trying to figure out what had happened, and now but are we returned? The sky is normal, but now everything else is stopped.
It's we work to put the tree back in the city, but because time is stopped for now, because there are still some things we need to do, everyone has to stay this way until we're finished.
You, what do you have to do?
Well, there's this bad stuff that was happening that Ket tried to fix it, and these people that I've been traveling with, my friends, they've been working for a really long time to make all this stuff right, and we're getting closer.
I don't understand this. All of this is it's too big. I don't understand how could anyone this is the world is falling apart around us. What could anyone do?
Put it back together. And you have to have faith, Mother. We moved this whole city back to where it belonged. We made it so that you were all home again.
She's watching you very carefully because she still has a little bit of a disbelieving expression on her face that you, I think, probably just chalk up to shock. I mean, it's a little bit just like a family member just telling you, it's like, oh yeah, I was just up at the moon and it turns out that there's wizards up there who were about to blow up the earth, but we stopped them. And it's a little bit like, what? but at the same time, she's just listening to you say it, and she's trying on various ways to try to frame this in her head, and then eventually settles back down to, Ket is okay?
Kinda. I mean, yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's okay.
I'm glad. I'll admit there was a part of me that when some of your traveling companions finally made their way back and they said that you and Ket were lost, but admitted that you were alive, the two of you, when they last saw you, there was always a part of me that couldn't believe that if the two of you were together that you wouldn't be okay. Which, I haven't always been enthusiastic about Ket. He's charming, but then in that moment when they said that the two of you stayed behind so that they could escape, I was heartbroken, but at the same time I didn't believe it. I didn't believe that was really the end. And over the years I had so many times told myself that wasn't healthy, that I wasn't letting myself move on. But here you are. And you're involved in things that I can't comprehend. Time has stopped, apparently.
Yep. That's Ket's fault, by the way. He did this, just so you know. But he did it for a good reason, and we're fixing some important things before we start time again. Everything will be different. I have no idea how long Ket and I were really gone, how long the city was in the astral sea. It could have been thousands of years. So when we do turn time back on, the world will be different.
This feels like a dream.
Maybe it is.
She hugs you, and over your shoulder she says, "If it is a dream, it's a nice one."
I'm glad to see you.
Oh, Cadence. It sounds like you have important work to do.
Yeah.
Please come back and tell me all about it when you're done.
I will do my best. That's all I can do. It's very dangerous. But the people that I've made friends with, they're all very powerful. They watch each other's back.
I want to briefly just ask a question. I think at that point she glances back at the house, and I want to know who, if any of you, are watching this like through the window and have to like duck out of the way. It might be nobody, but I want to just know.
It depends on if Ket woke up or not when I dispelled magic.
Well, that's
'Cause if that was taken care of.
right. I was potentially going to ask though that if you finished the conversation with Cadence and then she walked outside in the direction of her mother, I don't know if you were going to just immediately proceed to Ket or.
Yeah, because that's like it's a personal thing, and like I've been in that spot where, having personal moments surrounded by a bunch of eyeballs, and it's like, nope, not doing that to her.
Mira's grown so much as a person.
So much.
Yeah.
Well, I can't imagine that anyone else would have woken up by now unless anyone wants to make the case that they would have. So we'll just assume that
No.
Nira is giving Cadence her privacy and no one else is aware it's happening yet. So she just glances back and you see her notice a little bit, is like they opened the back curtains.
Yeah, we came here to rest before we have to move on again, and
They're
I
inside.
figured this was, yeah, but they're all sleeping,
Ah,
and I think we should let them rest because we have to do some, we don't know when we will meet danger again, so it's better if they rest. But know that they're all good people.
she starts sort of laugh crying. Like there's clearly tears, but she's kind of just laughing and kind of just all, all these years with the big empty house. And now it's room enough for the people who are going to save the world.
Ironic, isn't it?
Meant to be.
Mm-hmm. When I walk away, you're gonna go back to being frozen, but you won't feel anything.
I didn't before, I don't think.
You would know, I think. But I realized that I might not get another chance.
I can't pretend to understand all of this.
I know.
It's too big, but I never thought that I would see you again. And now I have.
And when I come back, I'll tell you everything. I promise.
One more big hug.
Hmm.
And then kind of sensing that, there's a need. She slowly pulls back and kind of just stands back, kind of hands clasped, and just says, "I'll wait here."
I love you.
I love you too, Cadence. My Cadence.
And I walk away to go cry in the house.
Aww.
Yay! That made me happy.
That was amazing. Christiana, don't make me cry like that. Like that whole thing about finally my house, all the people. Yay, no camera.
Right? I was like, man, I gotta turn the camera off. I'm gonna cry.
So, back in the house, we'll just, rewind a little bit. So, Nira, as Cadence goes off, you head back in and you cast, Dispel at a 9th level? Is that what you do?
Yep.
Okay. That is sufficient to dispel the true polymorph spell. So, I think we have certainly flavored polymorph in the past as not being like a gradual transition, but just kind of, poof. And so I think that's what happens is that as, Ket, in your planetar form, we established that you do sleep. How do you sleep? Do you have your wings wrapped around you? Are you curled up in a little ball? Starfish? Or what?
Hanging from the ceiling by his
Like a bat. No, I kind of sleep like a baby dragon, curled up with my wings as like covers. Nothing fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's how I sleep.
So that's how you were. And now.
Now when I wake up, there's no wings and there's my just tail swooshing back and forth.
So I think I'll let you decide if you think that would wake Ket up or not.
Honestly, probably not. I think he would wake up and see his tail swooshing and see he would look and see, oh my god, I got paws again. And he would just if Nira's still standing there, he would just look at Nira and just be like, thank you.
You got it.
Oh, salami! Oh!
And that probably
I'm
wakes
back,
everyone
baby.
else up, right? So
Now everyone else is awake.
yeah.
Who
So
wants breakfast?
I think Cadence. I think you, as you are heading back to the house, you hear Ket singing there.
I will actually just kind of push the tears I have away and blink it off, and I'll come running in and be like, "Oh my god, it's you!
No more pink.
Ta-da!
You should probably put some pants on, dude."
Why? It never stopped me before.
That's true. That's true. We don't even
whatever
really need to
you
wear
were-
clothes.
Whatever you were wearing when you cast the true polymorph spell on you, you would presumably still have on you.
Yeah, I was probably just dressed in my regular clothes, so they're
It's
a little
also
like
funny
Bruce.
that-
They're a little like Bruce Banner now, a little
Yeah.
little ripped and stuff. But yeah, they're all right.
Do you need to go home to get a fresh pair of shorts there?
No, man, I kind of like this look. Do 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 do.
Got one
Oh,
hand
dear.
kind of at the waist of the pants, holding it up.
Yeah, I just grab like a piece of rope from my pack and just tie it in there. It's all good. Let's get this party started, man.
So, is everyone else waking up too?
I'll kind of give Cadence a
Yeah.
look,
Yeah.
kind of silently asking a question. but whether or not she answers, it's kind of up to her.
I just kind of look back at her and
Anyone want to briefly give the audio only folks an indication?
I just
Sometime
kind
for
of
Nira
those of you
looked,
at home.
Aiden shrugged, and Nira shrugged back.
it has been done.
Shrugapalooza. All right. So were
How's
you
everybody
all
doing?
just piled in the living room, or I don't know?
Yeah.
I think as you all kind of emerge, I think probably the first thing you would notice is that there's no longer a 12-foot tall pink winged planetar in the room, and instead Cat is back.
Hey, Cat!
Is it really you?
Jazz hands. Hey, Alaric. Knock, knock.
Oh, crap, it is you.
Who's
Who's there?
No. That was the joke. Never mind.
I'm never gonna get those. So is it morning then? I mean, it
Yeah.
doesn't change outside, so I can't really tell.
It's been like 8 hours.
As morning as it's gonna be.
Yeah. Mm.
Right. So, Amethyst, you want to do the honors, or shall I?
Yes,
go.
please. I would love to do something besides talk. Does anybody have a particular area they'd like to see? And I'm just holding up all of the tuning forks. We've got like half a dozen now. I can't remember all of them. I don't know if I wrote them all down. I know we've got the plane of air. Any preferences, guys? Basically anywhere we've been.
Probably not the plane of air, because not everybody can fly.
We
actually.
But
can
it
go
It'd
back
be
to
like
Mount
caffeine.
Celestia.
Think of what a wake up that would be. It would be like a burst of adrenaline.
I'd rather just have breakfast.
Just for a second, and then we plane shift back.
Here, go look in
No?
the cabinet and see if there's any cereal in there, Lark.
So Astral
Worth a
Sea,
check.
Abyss.
Yeah, it's only 10,000 years past the expiration date.
Yeah, it's
Right.
fine. It's fine.
And,
It was frozen for 10,000 years.
Amber flakes, they're fine.
They're great.
I don't know. Like Feywild is relatively
Yeah.
safe, just popping in and out, right?
Yeah, let's Feywild it up. So wherever we have it attuned to, that's where we'll go.
Well, you
Well-
have to aim it.
Yeah, so you have it attuned to the plane, and then you kind of visualize either a location you've been, or just like you can kind of sort of
Mhm.
imagine a type of location, but then you have a lot less control. But any place you've actually been, you can kind of visualize, and it's usually pretty reliable.
Mm.
Um,
I mean, we traveled like really far in the Feywild.
so Amethyst just visualizes a beautiful lake with some trees around it because that's where she would want to go, since nobody's speaking up with any requests.
It's like, oh, hey, yeah, let's go to that endless mud flats, where we fought the dragons. Yeah.
Maybe the
No,
swamp. that
really
was fun.
serene,
I was
nice.
thinking we could go back to the dragon place where we fought
Well,
those
nobody
three
spoke
dragons.
up, so
No, yeah. So you do find yourselves, zipping through the plains, landing at a rather beautiful lake that is unfamiliar. So it's beautiful, but who knows what else is around. So it depends on how long you want to stick around and explore.
So do we want to go straight back and
Yeah, the only thing that it occurred to me way too late, but like I'm kind of curious what it looks like. You know how we connected all of the planes for the tree, putting the tree back.
Mhm.
Kind of curious what that spot looks like. here, but too
Might
late
be
now.
able to see it
Doesn't
from
matter.
here.
So I guess I'm gonna poof us to the next stop, right?
Yep. Yep.
And then I am going to aim for that the place we left my mother,
Hmm.
where I had shifted that spider statue into
Right.
the
Yeah.
the mountain
I
area.
don't have the map ready to go, so we'll just stay in the role play mode. But certainly that's the location where it was this. It seemed like it was probably sort of like a ruling council type of chamber there in the Dark Elf city, but had currently been more or less taken over by the High Elves occupying the city. But you do recall that there had been one important looking dark elf who seems to be giving some sort of a testimony to the high elves sitting at the table.
Is that
And
the
then-
room where the big spider statue was changed?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So you all once again feel the wobble and warp of the planar boundaries shifting around you as you arrive deep beneath Mount Rashama in the Dark Elf City in that room.
I think I'm going to do a whole lot of walking after this is over. Nothing fancy, just simple move one place to the other, one foot in front of the other. So, are we going to talk to people here? Or is this just a stop along the way?
I think this is where we need to be.
Hey, I got a question just for out of game for next week.
Mm-hmm.
If Jadzia comes back, did we ever explain Mugen's disappearance this episode?
No. I mean, Mugen said, I will be back. Have to
Okay.
take care of something.
Okay.
Getting up to some kind of mischief somewhere.
Well, I don't know who this is that's speaking, but I know somebody who would know. Oh, this is going to be rough. Okay. I'm going to walk over to my mother, who I believe she still has. She's still bandaged, correct?
Yes. I believe she was still bandaged on her face, but her arm had been regrown.
Right. Before I wake her, I want to peek under the bandage and see what the damage is, like what I would need to do to fix that. Like if it's like full on, like she has lost her eye, or if it's just burn damage or what.
Wasn't regeneration cast?
Yes, but on her arm.
It affects her whole body, I believe.
Does it?
Yeah.
Does
I
it?
believe so.
Okay. If that's the case, then we can potentially retcon that that was still in process. I had been thinking it was on a specific...
I'm checking the spell.
Yeah. I mean, you might be right. I don't recall, but I had that. So my description had been based on the thought that it was, you would have to do it again for another body part.
Stimulate natural healing ability for the duration they were gained. So severed body members, fingers, legs, tails, and so on, if any, are restored after 2 minutes. If you have the severed part, and hold it to the stump, it instantly causes it to knit. So she should have been completely restored.
Okay. Well, I mean, so she still had the bandage on.
Sure.
But, yeah. But yeah, so what you discover when you take the bandage off, Nira, is that it is fine underneath.
All right. So kind of check myself and like brush off a little bit and just straighten up just a little bit.
I'm going to walk up behind Nirakina and just put my hand on her shoulder. It'll be fine. We're here with you.
Right. Well, I've already talked to her. Right. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Okay. And I will reach out and take her hand.
Just a brief touching base, because I think I recall, but as you recall, where did you leave off with her? I just want to make sure I'm remembering correctly.
Well, we had taken her out of that circle of protection,
Mm-hmm.
and we said we were going to go take care of the contract,
Yeah.
and then we
Mhm.
headed out.
You
Yeah.
still didn't remember her when
Right.
we
Yeah.
left
You
either.
had,
Yeah.
you had not had your memories restored yet when you last talked to her. Okay, I was just trying to like make sure. Like, I think that her expectation was that you're going off to try to find this this assassin if it's still around, and then fix that problem. And so that's where she's left off. But she refroze knowing that that was your plan. But so I think, yeah, as she kind of begins to move again, she blinks and looks around, jumps a little bit because you're all kind of suddenly in different places and you're now around her again, and she's just saying, "Oh, you're back. Uh, were you able to find the assassin?"
More than that, the contract has been nullified. You're safe.
How did you accomplish such a thing?
I don't think you want to know. I don't know. Maybe you do.
Well, there's a 5-headed dragon, and we killed it, and that worked.
Kill is a.
We worked
Yes,
off the contract.
Yeah.
Well, it's cancelled now, though.
yes.
Mhm.
That is certainly a relief. So, everything is still stopped.
Yes.
What comes next?
I need your help. We need your help. We need information before we can set everything right.
She's kind of like itching at the bandage, and then she like, "Oh, I must have misunderstood. I thought the spell only fixed my arm. That's embarrassing." Oh, I'm sorry. You need my help.
Yes. This gentleman.
I know
speaking
you
in-
don't remember, but I'm just I can't help but feel a little bit of you didn't generally ask for my help.
Things have changed.
Apparently so.
The person was addressing the room. Who are they?
Well, it was the one of the counselors of the Dark Elf committee that ruled over the city. Was being asked to describe where we might find any of the individuals who might be responsible for the destruction of Rushama. That was still part of the discussion, but also there was to be additional discussion after that topic of how best to ensure that the prisoners could be treated well without releasing them. I'm sorry, it feels so strange now discussing the things that all felt right at the time, knowing what I do now.
Well, I think that's changed too. I don't remember you being particularly keen on admitting fault in anything, ever.
Nira, there's been so. It's funny how believing that your spirit that you have worshipped your entire life for centuries is destroyed, and believing that you know the true enemy, and believing that you are going down to exact revenge, and then discovering that that was all misguided and that you were wrong about almost everything about your life. It's funny how that happening can give you a different perspective.
Sorry, I know I shouldn't be laughing, but I don't think I've ever heard you say I was wrong.
I
Because I remember now. I remember all of it.
You do.
I do.
I was just about to say I didn't remember ever hearing you laugh.
Here we are. Okay.
So you said you needed my help. Surely just telling you who
Um,
the counselor is isn't what you meant.
well, we need... I need to hear both sides of the story. I have heard from my grandmother where vague details of what happened, and I have a bit of information on my own, but there are two sides to every story. And we can't fix things in a way that they'll stay fixed if I don't have all of the pieces to put the puzzle back together.
I am struggling because I keep having my instinctive reaction and begin to tell you what I believe to be true, only to remember how much of that belief is built on a foundation that has shifted beneath me. We believed that even though we arrived here in the city and found that at least amongst the Dark Elves who live here, there was not the insurrection army we had expected. There was not the sign of cults and demons that we had come to understand, but we believed fully that even if it wasn't taking place here, that there were individuals who did perform those types of rituals. And the Dark Elves that we questioned here did not deny this. They simply explained that from their perspective, those individuals were not welcome within the city, and that they were not uh, mainstream in their belief.
So, when I say both sides of the story, I mean further back than that. Because until quite recently, I had no knowledge there were even dark elves beneath the mountain.
Yes.
And that the other side to that story, I believe, is important. And that's what I need to hear. What we all need to hear.
Nira,
Because
I, I hope that you can understand that even though I know now how much of what we tried to teach you and what we tried to, the traditions we tried to keep strong in Farusha, we didn't do that knowing they were wrong.
I understand that my purpose in this is not to cast aspersions, not to place blame. I'm simply looking for information. That's all. You're very defensive.
I'm
And
sorry.
I just want to reassure you that that's not. I'm not looking to punish. I promise.
I know. I somehow I just Nira, I know I said this before, but the change in you, I can feel it in my heart even as my mind struggles. And it's hard for me to reconcile the young elf that was so mysteriously chosen all those years ago and the one that's standing in front of me now. It's I don't disbelieve it, but I'm having difficulty processing it. But that my struggles are not yours. What you need to the individual you need to speak to is the dark elf storyteller, who is in one of the cells on the prison level in this structure.
Of course they are. All right. Since you know this person, will you take us there?
I don't know how well I know them, but I can certainly take you there.
Well, you would recognize them, which is
Yeah, I can point them out to you.
yes,
Um,
would appreciate it.
I'm afraid that if she is stopped as all the rest are, as I was, I dare say their waking impression of me will not be positive. So I don't know
I
if you
don't
want
plan
me
to have you in front. I just we just got rid of the contract on your life. I'm not looking to put you in that sort of danger again. It's all right. Just
Okay.
lead the way.
All right. So she guides all of you up to the little sort of in-house teleportation sigil, and as she directs, you all, visualize that level that you had passed through, and you teleport there, and as you recall, this level has some sort of narrow corridors that are flanked with barred cells that are not they're not like, this is not a dungeon with shackles and stone floors and all that. They're furnished simply, but like there is a bed, there's a chamber pot, and there's a small table that has like a pitcher of water on it and that sort of thing. It's not nice, but certainly it's not a some place that people are left to rot. But as you wander down the aisle, she does gesture over to a cell that has probably the oldest looking elf of any kind that you have ever seen. The hair is stark white, which is true of all the dark elves, so that's not a standout feature, but just the lines on her face are just kind of remarkable. You're used to seeing that on the shorter lived races. It's so rare for an elf to live to that age.
Why was she put in a cell? At her age, I can't imagine she's much of a threat.
It wasn't my decision. She was part of their city leadership. We didn't want them to rally the others to attempt some sort of rebellion.
Right. And I know probably better than anyone how powerful stories are, so... All right. We need keys.
And she just kind of points that the guard on this floor would have them.
Maybe one of you want to take the lead on this one because elf and might not go over well. Anybody?
Ed, you're good at talking. Archie's good at talking.
I mean, to get the keys?
Well,
Or do you
get
mean
the-
talking to the storyteller?
I think it's trivial to get the keys. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can lift the keys without having to wake up the guard.
Yeah. Who's gonna wake up the storyteller and make first contact?
I honestly think Alaric should do it.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Why me?
You both live under mountains, right?
That's a little bit stereotyping, but okay, that's true.
What's the lie? You have something in
but-
common.
But Ket is the storyteller.
Mhm.
You
That's
don't have
true.
to tell her a story. You just have to, I don't know, not give her a heart attack.
I think Alaric, and I'm saying this with all sincerity and humbleness.
This is gonna hurt.
No. I think your timbre, your cadence is very calming to people. I think that if she was gonna wake up to your soothing, deep, masculine voice, it would just have that nice calming effect on her. Where if I talk to her, I'm like, hey, I don't know how to be calm like you do.
I'm shocked any of you would call me calm, but I suppose if that's what it seems like.
You, to me, are you're very
Queen.
rational.
Yeah.
Okay, that part I might be able to agree with. Finally, you're listening to me, I guess.
It's your honeyed words, man.
All right, I guess I can. If you're sure about this.
I mean, really, what's the worst that could happen?
You always ask that question as if you don't really want the answer. I can probably tell you.
You have plenty of backup, Alaric. I think it's okay.
All right. But I warned you. Just remember that.
Well, maybe have a little faith in yourself, too, would be helpful.
Mira Nessa leans in and says, her name is Drakruid Agni, but she is, her title is storyteller, and that is generally how she is addressed.
Storyteller Dracuig Acne?
Dracruid. It's, this, I don't think the spelling would help Elvish, you see. Dracruid Agni.
Okay. The names are important.
He has a thing for names.
They're important.
They are. At least I've always thought so.
See, I'm not the only one. I'm liking you more and more. We'll have to talk later.
Yeah, she looks like she is having many layers of complicated feelings right now. Like not like distaste, but just like overwhelmed. Like there's too many moving pieces to this for me to process all of these right now.
There go those stereotypes again. All right. Well, I guess you can't really look any different, but at least the armor feels good. And he'll walk in, still look a little uncertain, look back. How is she laying down, or is she sitting, or?
She's seated on the bed, kind of like with her legs off over the side. She's kind of slumped over, but like many elderly individuals, you get a little bit of a sense that it's not so much a slouch right now as much as just that's just how she is all the time now. So it's not an indication of her current body language so much as the current shape of her back. But she is sitting there looking down at her hands, but as you kind of like lean over to get a glimpse of her face, she seems to have a slightly bemused smile on her face. But
Is there
she's also by far, like, you're used to certainly seeing like elderly individuals of various species, but like for you also, I think there is an element of like that you have never seen an elf of any kind this old.
is there a drinking bowl or something nearby?
Yeah.
I'm going to cast Mage Hand. And I'm going to have the drinking bowl scoop up water if there's a bucket nearby, or have it filled otherwise. And then just sort of gently nudge it into her hands. And then focus on her noticing the bowl.
Okay. Yeah, so as you like nudge it towards her hands, they sort of soften and then unclasp to accept the bowl. She gives, without really looking up, kind of gives like a subtle nod of acknowledgement, and then goes to drink some, and then looks up at you and just kind of cocks her head just a little bit and says, well, a surprise after a long time of not being surprised.
And he'll smile and step a little closer and then sit cross-legged on the floor so she doesn't have to look upward. My name...
So I'm sorry, just briefly.
Yep.
Where is everybody else? Is everyone else like standing right outside the cell, or did you kind of back off and let Alark just kind of do this? Like, where is everybody else right now?
I'm peeking in the doorway. Like,
Okay.
I want to watch what's going on here.
So, like, the wall of the cell is all bars. So basically, it's not like just a doorway. It's there's like, so basically, it would be hard to be in that corridor without being visible. But that's not the same as, you could be, unobtrusive over there, but you would not be out of sight.
Yeah, I still want to be in the doorway though, because
Okay, sure.
I want to have a very clear earshot and be ready to step in with questions.
Yeah.
Amethyst is hanging back.
Yeah.
She needs
So-
to figure it out.
Yeah, give him room.
Okay. So she kind of glances around and sort of just narrowing her eyes, but still has that slightly bemused smile and just says, well, it would appear that they're looking for some different answers, aren't they? Let's see if you get them. She looks back down to you, Alaric.
My name is Alaric Copperbeard, from the Copperbeard clan of dwarves, quite a ways from here.
Barrier
Another
Mountains,
mountain.
yes?
You're familiar with it, yes. And I understand you are a storyteller. Your name is, forgive me, my tongue will not roll it properly, Drakruid Agni, I think, yes? I wish to honor you with your full name, but I will also call you storyteller, as I am told that's what they call you.
It is.
I'm here, well, I guess you could say I'm here to represent a couple of different things. One, I guess you might say, an olive branch after mistakes were made. And another, I guess you would say the foremost crack of change in a very old boulder that's been holding things back for a while.
Those are some nice metaphors, young dwarf.
I know
What do
rocks
they
and stone,
Oh, do you?
more than people mostly. But it's your stories that we're here for, in a way. We know that there was conflict. We know that there was confusion. We know that there was a misunderstanding. And we've heard some of that story. But I guess, kind of glances out at Nirkina, I guess we're here to hear the other half of that story. And come to know what happened. You see, we know a bit. It's a bit messed up now, and that's hard to explain, but from some perspectives, terrible wrong happened almost a long time ago. And now it's set to actually happen. Like a rock slide, depending on a rock that's been sitting there for so long, wedged just the right way. And now that rock is being pulled free. And it's happening below us somehow. And while the start of that slide was caused by all that's above, we want to know who pulled that stone and how it happened. Can you tell me that story?
That is a story that I know well. But I am a storyteller, and so one user of fancy words recognizes another.
He's in the hallway.
He left?
Well, I mean, the one who has the better words is out there. I just use the simple tools I've got.
Okay, so I misunderstood. I thought you were trying to say Alaric had gotten up and gone into the hallway, and I was
No.
I was confused. Okay.
He's confused as to who she's
Right.
referring to, figuring she must be talking about Ket.
I'm just confused.
Whether you know yourself or not, young dwarf, you dress your request in pleasing terms, like wrapping a morsel of meat in honeyed leaves. I
Well,
wish
this
to know
isn't
if
really
the
my
meat.
clothing.
I wish to know if the morsel of meat is rotten. This is a story, this story you ask for. I know it well. But tell me why you wish to know it. You say to avert harm, a rock slide. You say to undo past wrongs. But I want to know. Let's envision that everything goes exactly your way. What does the world look like after that?
I mean, if we can avert this terrible thing, stop it or prevent it, or depending on where things are at, then we can stop a lot of fighting that doesn't have to happen, that shouldn't happen. We can find some way of finding ground where everybody knows who each other actually is. The meat, as you called it. Everybody knows that rather than just the wrappings that they've mistakenly presented on each other. Peace, I guess, would be the way to put it. If that can be done, or at the very least, no more bloodshed between peoples that shouldn't, peoples who have the wrong feelings.
Before I tell you the story you've asked for, let me tell you a shorter one. There's a
Please.
traveler traveling. Another lies in wait, watches the travelers approach, and then, when the traveler least suspects, the other ambushes him, stabs him, leaves him bloody on the ground. Would you say that this story is a terrible thing that has happened?
I mean, I don't know everything of the people that are there, but
Exactly. So when you tell me you wish to avert a terrible thing, I must understand what you define as terrible.
I understand you. I didn't mean to deceive by leaving stuff out. It's just hard to explain, but let me try. There is this terrible demon lord on the edge of coming into this world. And he was brought here for reasons I think to some degree are malicious and others mistaken. And we have a chance to stop them from coming. To stop that demon lord from ravaging not only the people that sought to bring it here, or probably foolishly, but everything else too. So if that's your traveler, and the ambush might be actually a good story, to get rid of that traveler, to make that not a terrible thing in this world, that's what I want to get stopped. I don't know. It was to happen once, and now seems to be about to happen, so we got a chance this time. Whereas before, it was delayed. The chance was taken, but it was the wrong one. And we want to understand anything we might know about how this demon lord is brought, or why, and where. But also, beyond all of that, the people who live above lost something great. And they didn't know why. And they didn't know how. And it is tied to what happened below. In a certain sense, it's a little bit out of it's not a straight line anymore, but that's not the point. The point is, they made a mistake and they acted on the wrong reasons. And we want to stop that too. People here.
As you're saying that, she's looking out at the hallway and seeing Nira and presumably Miranessa, out there, and just seeing them not reacting to this discussion of like they made a mistake. She kind of narrows her eyes and looks back at you, Alaric, and says, so many surprises in a short time. Perhaps, then, this is a story worth telling. I shall tell you, all of you, the tragedy of Rushama. And that's where we'll leave it for tonight. And
Nice.
and we will tell that story when we return next week for more adventure on so many levels.
So many levels.
Just snuck it in. Doggone it.
All right. So thank you, everybody, for watching and or listening. We will be back, as I said, and the story will be worth it. I promise. So we'll leave it there. Thank you, everybody, and good night. What do I say at the end of these? I can't remember now. I'm too
See you
caught
next
up.
week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Later.